All right, here we go. Today's episode is going to be all about 5 ways to use your book to land paid speaking engagements. Now, one of the things that's so important for us to understand before we get into this episode is that a lot of us want to use our book for something bigger than just the book. And a lot of the authors that I work with want to use their book to land paid speaking engagements. They want to turn their book into a vehicle to land paid speaking engagements, to raise their fees, to start their speaking career, or to use it for a back-end business offer. So what's really cool about this is that when you write a book and you do it in the right way, this book will turn into your keynote, this book will turn into your social content, this book can turn into your coaching, this book can turn into so many things that you may never have even known existed. All because you took the time, the effort, and the energy to do it one single time. All right, so let's talk about the various ways that we're going to be able to use our book to land us more speaking engagements. But before we get into these really good stuff here, I want to just share with you that there is what's called front end and back end. Front end is when you agree to a deal up front. You know what your fee is. You know what the amount of money that you're going to receive is. That is front end when you're negotiating a speaking deal. Back end is when you make money off the back end. After your speech, there's opportunity to make money. So those are really important distinctions here because we're going to talk about some front end ways and some back end ways. The different types of speaking engagements that this will apply for can really range for anything. It can be podcast interviews, it could be guest coaching, it could be masterminds, it could be coaching programs, it could be at a live event where you're giving a keynote, or it could be at a event where you're doing a workshop, it could be at a conference. Any type of stage, you can use these strategies to help you negotiate to land a great speaking fee. So let's get into it. All right, let's start talking about this. Now, I'm going to go into 5 different ways, and I'm not even going to get into how to use this to grow your coaching program on the back end. We'll do another episode for that. This is purely to land paid speaking engagement. So the first way that you can use your book to land a paid speaking engagement is you can use your book to command a high speaking fee. So once you write a book, you have become the expert on that particular topic, right? Author is in the word authority. So therefore, by being an author on a particular topic, you have established yourself as an authority in that topic. And once people see you as that perceived authority, they are more likely to pay you more money. Why? Because people pay experts more because they assume that the knowledge is more specific, the knowledge is better, the person has spent more time learning the particular topic, and they believe that you have more knowledge and value to share. Plus, people love to hire authors. People love to hire people who have great credentials that are widely and commonly respected by the general population, aka the people who would attend their events. So when you command a high speaking fee, let's say you've had a speaking business before writing a book and your speaking fee is $2,500. Well, immediately upon releasing your book, you can now charge $5,000. You can double your speaking fee, and we've seen that done. I know that I've done that several times throughout my career. But let's say you're using your book to start a paid speaking career and you don't have a fee. You're like, I don't even know where to begin. And you start at zero. Well, by immediately having a book, now it might give you that confidence to say, you know what? I'm going to start with a $2,500 keynote offer. Or maybe you're going to go, you know what? I know that I'm worth this. I'm deserving of this. I'm going to charge $10K for my keynote. You've just now gone from 0 to 2,500 or 0 to 10K right off the bat. The big thing with this is to recognize that people are going to pay a premium for the quality of the information that you're going to share. So if you can solve a really high level problem and your book helps people do that, you're going to be able to say, you know what? I deserve this. This is my rate. I'm going to change this many lives. One quick note for some of the newer speakers that are listening to this or people that really want to start speaking. I typically recommend, and this is what I do, and this might help for you, is I don't really recommend charging based on the amount of people that are there. I recommend basically having a general rate for your work, whether that's a 1 hour, whether that's a half day, whether that's a full day, rather than based on the amount of people that are there. I know sometimes people that I work with, they're like, well, if there's 20 people, should I charge more than 100 people or vice versa? And I always tell them no. I say, focus on the value that you're going to bring, the problems that you're going to solve, and the expertise that you have. So that is the first way. Command a higher speaking fee because you have a book. The second way that you're going to use your book to really get paid speaking engagements is fee plus book sales with the event host. So in this situation, you are going to not only command a speaking fee where the event host and the event coordinator will pay you your fee, but they are also going to agree up front to buy a certain amount of copies of your book. So this is really, really awesome. And I encourage you to try this because this is just extra money. Some events, depending on the niche or the industry that you're in, they will have a secondary budget to buy books for their people. Some people have never had an author speak. And so when you have a book, they're like, oh, can we also buy books for our people? And boom, your fee can sometimes increase by 10, 15, 20%. Let me give you an example here. Let's say your speaking fee is $5,000 and there is 500 people in attendees or 500 people in attendance. And let's say the event host is like, you know what? We're going to give 100 copies to the first 100 people who arrive. Your book is $15. You charge them $15 for 100 copies. It's local, so you're driving to this event. There's no extra shipping costs. Boom, that's an extra $1,500. So instead of making $5,000 from your speaking fee, you now have a built-in $6,500 revenue. When you factor in your costs and your margins, that drops down to a little bit less. But overall, not only do you have a higher number than you started, but now you have an additional amount of people with books in hand, which is going to enable you to build better relationships with the audience after the event. So that's the second way, where you can get fee and book sales in advance of the actual event. The third way is you're going to get a speaking fee plus back of the room sales. So what this means is this is where you're going to get paid for the actual speaking event. This is going to be your speaking fee. And then after, you are going to get a booth in the back of the room where you could sell copies of your book after your talk. This is one of my favorite ways. If somebody doesn't have a budget up front to buy it for their audience, this is one of my favorite ways to build connection with the audience, to further develop the relationship with the event host to show that you really care, and to make some extra moolah, baby. Let me give you an example of this. Let's say your speaking K is $5,000. Let's say there's 100 attendees that are there. And at the end of the event, 30 of them, 30% come to buy your $15 book. 30 people at $15 is an additional $450. So you, by just being able to have your book on site, you've added an additional almost 10%. You've added 9% to your overall earnings for the day. And now you have people with your book in their hands. This is, like I said, this is one of my favorite ways to really go about doing this. I remember I was at an event and I had gotten my speaking fee, and this was a small group. I was doing it for about 50 people. And at the end of that, I sold 30 books. So 60% of the people bought. I sold 30 books at about $15. That was an extra $450. Boom. That was an extra $450. There was another time that I was at an event and I was doing this, and I had done this because it was an organization that I was really passionate about. I waived my speaking fee and I said, you know what, I'll come do it, but I would like to have a booth in the back of the room. They allowed me to do this. And at the end of it, a bunch of people bought it and I made another $600. So there are always ways. And the best part about that one was I drove 30 minutes down the road to give that keynote. So I drove 30 minutes, I spoke for 30 minutes, I hung out for 30 minutes, and I made $600. That can be really lucrative because you could do this all day long in the back of your events, okay? So this kind of runs us into the fourth way, which is you do not get a speaking fee, but you have a booth at the back of the room. This is kind of what I just alluded to in my last example. But this is where you're going to speak for the perfect audience and you're going to do it for free. Now, before you're like, wait, Jake, you're talking about landing paid speaking engagements. Yes, I am. Because paid speaking engagements means you have the opportunity to be paid, right? And so I think this is one of the most high value opportunities is when you get to speak for a mastermind, or you get to speak at a conference, or you get to speak somewhere that has your perfect audience. Because not only are you building that relationship with the event coordinator, but you're building the relationship with all the attendees, giving them a chance to buy your book and get familiar with you. And then you're opening up the door for your perfect ideal client to then work with you on the topic that you are already a perceived expert in now following your talk. So let's talk about this example here. Let's say there's 500 attendees, 20% of those people buy a book. 20% of 500 is, if I'm not mistaken, that is 100 people. 100 people buy your copies at $15 each. Boom, $1,500. So you go in there with no speaking fee, but now you've just made $1,500. You have 100 people with your books that are your ideal clients. I'll throw in a bonus here. Let's say you offer a 10K coaching program on the back end. Well, now let's say one of those 100 people who bought your book hire you. That's now $10,000 plus the initial $1,500. So you turned a free speaking engagement into $11,500. All right. I know there's a lot of math going on in this episode, but you're seeing here how these numbers can start to add up. That's 2%. You're at $21,500. Okay. Another really cool thing that you can do with this concept is if you don't get a speaking fee, but you have a booth at the back of the room, is you can run a giveaway at that booth. Now, since you're not doing it with a fee, oftentimes the host will allow you to do something else. You're not pitching from stage, but what you can do is run a giveaway. And of course, you always want to ask the event coordinator or the event host permission for whatever it is that you want to do, because you want it to be a win-win. But sometimes you can run a giveaway at your booth. Let's say you're at a conference and you're speaking for free because the audience is exactly who you want to work with. Well, at your booth, you can run a giveaway for a $100 gift card to Amazon and 5 copies of your book for their student leaders or for their executive team or for whomever. And now you're getting that information from that person. You're getting their email address, which gives you a chance to now further develop the relationship after the event. So no fee plus a booth can also be very lucrative and exciting and can turn into a lot of paid opportunities. And then the last way that we are going to do it is book sales in place of a fee. So we've talked about a lot of different ways, but now we're basically saying that this often happens when you're launching a book or when the event coordinator or the event host says, hey, we can't pay you as a speaker, but we can buy a bunch of your books. Like I mentioned, there are often a ton of different budgets depending on your industry to buy books or to pay for speakers. And so let's just hypothetically say that there was 250 people in attendance at this conference and the person couldn't pay your speaking fee, but they were like, you know what? We will buy a $15 book for every one of our attendees. That's $3,750. All right. So if your fee's $2,500 normally, well, boom, you just got $3,750 in the bank in a check collected and 250 people with your book in hand. So this is a really powerful concept to leverage your book into speaking engagements. Now, I've done this for $500 in 30 minutes of my time with no speaking fee. I've done this all the way to generating $15,000, $20,000 at a time from using my book as a vehicle to landing clients, to landing speaking engagements. So let's go through these 5 ways that you can use your book and turn it into paid speaking engagements. Number 1 is you can command a higher speaking fee by having a book and being seen as an expert. Number 2 is you can command a fee and get book sales with that fee, doubling up and increasing your initial fee. Number 3 is you can charge a speaking fee and have a booth where you get back of the room sales. Number 4, you do not get a fee, but you have a booth in the back of the room where you can make sales. And number 5 is you get book sales. The event coordinator buys your books in lieu of a speaking fee. No matter which way you look at it, you're getting paid. The better you are, the more you can charge. The better you are, the more people are going to want to buy your book after the event. The better you are, the more referrals you're going to get. The better you are, the more likely you're going to be able to sign high-ticket clients on the back end of this. The better you are, the more this will turn into additional speaking engagements. You are incredible. The book you're writing, or the book you're going to write, or the book you've written is incredible. Now, all you have to do is say yes to yourself. You deserve it. Go after it. Make this shit happen. This is how you turn a book that you've worked on one time, that you now have, and you can use this for years and years and years, turn it into tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and even potentially millions of dollars. All right, this is what you have to look forward. This is what you have right in front of you. And so if you are like, all right, it's game time, I need to write this book, I'm writing my next book in real time right now. So if you want to watch me actually go through the process of how I write a book, I'm revealing all the secrets. I'll share everything I know. I'm giving daily updates, Q&As. So if you want to watch me write my next book, and by the way, I'm writing it in 90 days or less, go to bigidea2bestseller.com/90 days. bigidea2bestseller.com/90 days. That will get you to a page where you can opt in and watch me write my book in real time. You can join me and write it in real time, and you can then turn this into something that will help you have a beautifully published book so that you can land more speaking engagements. That's what I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed this one. I came at you hot with a lot of math. I know you stayed with me on this, and I appreciate you for that. So I'll see you on the next time, and I'll see you on the next one.